can watch the podcast mod, but that's it. Three.
What is up, Spokane Ghost Talk fans? This is Brian, your ghost host, and unfortunately, Cardboard Echo Rick is out sick with a cold. My kids gave it to him, so he's a little mad at me. But as always, the hog of the podcast, my co-ghost host tonight, Miss Lisa Marie.
Hi. My internet's not playing nice tonight, so I don't know what the heck.
Better tell Annabella and that new doll to knock it off, or I'm gonna come over there and smash some heads.
See?
But anyways,
well, yeah, I mean, she got quiet after that.
Tonight, guys, we have a very special guest. Not only is he a paranormal investigator, he is a paranormal researcher and an author. His name is Keith Evans, and we're going to get to him in just a few moments. But Lisa, what's the weather like in Minnesota right now?
Cold. Let's see. It's 34 degrees. Wake up with frost, and you get frost in the morning. No snow yet, thank God.
Right.
But generally in the 30s right now.
Yeah, it's about in the 30s right out here in Spokane too. All right.
Oh, is
well,
it? Yeah.
Without any further ado, Mr. Keith Evans, welcome to Spokane Ghost Talk.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Well, besides freezing my ass off because I decided to come outside for a cigarette with no socks on, but other than that, I can't complain. What about you, Lisa?
Hey, it could be worse.
Well, it's nice here in Florida.
It could have snow and no socks.
It's nice here.
Nice. Nice.
You're in Florida. Nice.
Yes.
What part of Florida?
Up on the Panhandle. I guess today it was up to like maybe 75 degrees. Nice and warm. It gets cold at night.
Nice.
Probably into the upper 40s.
You see, now that's my kind of weather.
Wow.
Anywhere from 40s to the mid 70s. I'm a happy camper. But I got nicknamed the Yeti because I'll walk around outside in 10, 12 degree weather with 6 inches of snow and a pair of shorts, a tank top, and a pair of flip-flops.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, Mr. Evans, what got you into the paranormal world? What was your first experience?
Well, I'm an empath to a certain extent. It's not strong enough to just do that without other paranormal equipment. But I always enjoyed old things like old houses at a very young age, as far back as I could remember, like 4 years old. I'd always make I'd make over old houses or a certain part of an old house that had decorative wood in it. And I'd tell the owner or the person that lived there how nice that was. And it would kind of make me happy. And I thought, well, I'm a little kid. Why am I feeling so happy about a piece of decorative wood that's on the wall in someone's home where none of the other adults seem to be feeling anything positive about it? And that's when I first noticed that I was different than at least my family members, because they didn't seem to care about the old decorative wood at all. But as an empath, I was feeling the joy and the pride that certain parts of the old homes had brought the prior owners that had passed away. I was feeling their more or less that, I think, from the ghosts and spirits that were in the area. And
So
that's that's really what got me started. Anytime I was out and about, I'd go by an old farmhouse. A lot of the old farmhouses were probably built in sometime after the 1880s. They were all like Victorian style, large homes. And in the 1960s, a lot of the little farms that were like 80 to 100 acres, the farmers just couldn't make a living off of that much acreage. So a lot of the little farms were being bought up or rented by a larger farmer or a larger farm that had more acreage, and they weren't taking care of the homes. They take care of the barns or wherever they needed to run the farm, but a lot of the homes were just going to waste. And once the roof gets compromised and it gets wet and gets termites, then the house is just lost. So
pretty much screwed on that fact.
my family would always ride by these old farmhouses, and I used to always feel so sorry for these homes that were just being allowed to go. And they were old Victorian type homes. I had no idea what they looked like on the inside, but I tried to talk my parents into stopping so I could get out and, check them out. And I was kind of just feeling what the ghosts or spirits that had lived there and were proud of the place. That was their combination of residence and place of employment. And most farmers had a lot of pride in what they did. And it just seemed to me like the ghosts of spirits were so sad that the place that they had really loved and had worked hard to keep perfect when they were alive is now a house that's falling apart. And as a little kid, I almost felt like they were asking me to buy the place and fix it up. And of course, I didn't have any way of borrowing money when I was a child, but I used to at least hold one hand out, kind of like the way Monk would hold a hand out, almost like I was feeling like my hand was the antenna in a way, and I was feeling the emotions that the ghosts and spirits were having. And I noticed nobody else cared. They didn't really, it wasn't their concern. It wasn't their problem. But it was like I was picking up all this extra information that no one else was picking up. So that allowed me to just understand that there are ghosts of spirits that are here. And I don't think ghosts of spirits are trapped. I think they can travel back and forth from heaven or wherever you want to consider the afterlife to earth. Once we pass away, our soul is just electromagnetic energy. So electromagnetic energy can pretty much travel the speed of light. So I'm sure that ghosts of spirits can cover a large distance in a very short period of time.
That's actually the first time I've ever heard it put that way, actually. The paranormal consultant says, "What's up, everybody? How you doing, Matt?" That's the guy I want you to go check out next for the podcast. He's amazing. But
just share my information with him, or he can contact me if
Yeah, most definite. But so you had a thing for old houses at 4 years old. you kind of felt like an antenna to the paranormal, and you believe that spirits can come from both heaven or hell or whatever's awaiting us after this, and we can come back to earth to do what we do.
Well, at least the spirits from heaven. I don't know about hell.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a great theory, actually. I really enjoy that theory. That kind of gives me a whole new look on things here. Makes sense. My dad coming back to screw with me for shits and giggles.
Well,
Right.
sometimes I have ghosts of spirits that are sarcastic. One time I was at Dr. John Gorey's grave in Apalachicola, Florida. That's where the Hayes House is that I wrote the book about. And when I was at Dr. John Gorey's grave, I don't know if it was Dr. John Gorey or not, but one of the ghosts of spirits was saying something about the weather and the fact that it was going to either be cloudy or windy. And I cammed up with my camera and did a circular view of nothing but blue sky with maybe some light haze or clouds. And I said, no, I don't think there's going to be bad weather. And then the ghost of spirit more or less said that he was joking. So, so sometimes ghosts of spirits can be sarcastic. But more or less, I find that they will talk about in the moment, what is going on in the moment. For instance, I'm doing some paranormal research near the Gulf Coast at the beach, and I'll get words like ocean. And so it's almost like the ghosts of spirits are saying, hey, I know where you're at, and you're near the ocean, even though it's technically the Gulf of Mexico.
Right. The paranormal consultant says that's a great theory about the same thing, a really good read. So my question is you've had this ability, this empath ability since you were 4 years old. When was the first time that you really picked up on it to communicate with the spirit?
Well, it was always passive communication. Like when I was 4 years old, I think the fact that a 4-year-old is looking at knotty pine wainscoting in his great aunt's house and saying how nice it is, and smiling about it. How many kids care about 4-year-old care about what the wall looks like? And it was really nice, shiny, glossy wainscoting. It didn't go. Wainscoting went up like maybe not even halfway up the wall, and I don't even remember what the rest of the wall looked like. But just the fact that most 4-year-olds aren't telling people how nice their house is because they have shiny wainscoting. And my parents pointed that out. They said, well, something wrong with you? Why are you commenting on people's homes? And it wasn't like I was criticizing them. I was saying something positive, but it was just out of character for a 4-year-old. So that's when I first noticed that I was picking up on something. And over the years, I've learned that I was feeling the happiness and pride that people had in their homes and what they were proud about their homes. And I'm sure that the past owners, probably that was the pride and joy of their house, showing people, hey, that's my wainscoting, and probably everyone felt it was beautiful, just like me as a 4-year-old thought it was beautiful.
Most definitely. And most 4-year-olds aren't going to go into a house and be like, hey, look at that wall. It's beautiful. They're going to be too busy running around the house. That's wanting to play. Playing in the yard, doing what you do.
Of course, I was standing still just staring at this wainscoting because to me it was shiny and I knew it was old and you could see the grain of the wood. I just thought that was so neat that you could see the grain of the wood where, the tree had been cut down. I just thought that was magnificent. And I still feel that I was picking up on, the past owners, what they had liked about the house and what had brought them joy and pride. And I also, every time I went into an antique store, this was later on as an adult, it always cheered me up to go into an antique store. Even if it wasn't stuff that I collected, I enjoyed going in there, and I knew I was feeling the pride and the joy that all those old items had brought their past owners.
That's fantastic. Myself, I love antique stores. I'm afraid to bring anything home from an antique store because of an attachment, but I like walking through and looking at the old stuff and thinking, hey, this was from my childhood and now it's an antique. Holy shit, I'm old. Lisa, do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, we were talking about you were talking about like how spirits can kind of pass over, like come from heaven and stuff. Do you think like the year that they die, when they come back, do you think that they know it's like a current year versus the year that they passed away? Or do you think they stay in that same year when they pass?
Good question.
I can't say for sure that every ghost can understand the passing of time. I do feel that most ghosts and spirits keep their same personality that they had when they passed away. Like if their favorite color was blue, it's still going to be their favorite color after they pass away, if they remember what their favorite color was. So I think they can remember things like emotions. Like at the Hayes house, when I asked Pat Hayes what he felt about the Great Depression, and he just said anger, because during the Great Depression, his family had a lot of real property, and the real property lost its value. And if his family had borrowed against the value of the real property, the loan might have come due quicker or faster because of the loss of value, that, you have to have a certain amount of value against the money that you borrow.
Exactly.
So I feel that,
yeah,
I always ask ghosts and spirits pretty much the same questions. And sometimes a ghost or spirit will say like broken record or, the ditto, or you're saying the same thing over and over. I'm trying to think of how they say it, but they usually say it in a couple words like same thing or whatever. But I always try to ask them, say, how old were they when they passed away? Where did they live? What was their favorite car? Did they like to go fishing? What was the favorite fish to catch? Did they like to go hunting? What was their favorite thing to hunt? And a lot of times I'll get no response at all. So it seems like they'll respond more in the moment about, a lot of times my knees hurt. And if I'm standing and there's no place to sit, I'll start to prance around because my knees are starting to hurt. And, they'll say, they'll say knee as if we know your knees are hurting. So it's like they're in the moment,
Okay.
And I've got that more than once. And
wow, that's awesome.
So it's almost like they'll tell you something about yourself.
Yeah. Do you have like a lot of spirits to talk to, like will call your name a lot just to get your attention if they think you're not paying attention to them?
It's very rare. I've only heard disembodied voices only 2 times that I can remember, and The first time was probably 1995 or 96. And
Okay.
I was at home and I heard my name called. And I don't think there was anyone saying my name, Keith, outside. And the second time it happened was after Hurricane Michael. I moved into the Hayes house because the place I was living was destroyed during Hurricane Michael. And at the Hayes
Okay.
house, I stayed on the third floor for about 4.5 months. And I guess it was about January of that year. And I stayed in the third floor apartment. And the stairway came up at the top towards the uh, southeast side of the room. And I was sitting in a chair on the north west side of the room. And I was looking at my cell phone, paying attention to Facebook. And I heard a woman say, Keith, just a normal Keith. And I looked up and there was nobody there. So I walked over and I went down the steps. The door to my apartment was at the bottom of the steps on the second floor. And then the steps lead right up into the apartment on the third floor. The door was locked from the inside, so no one could have stepped up there and said anything. But I know the neighbor was home for lunch and he lived on the second floor. It could have been maybe somebody on the TV, maybe that said my name, or someone outside might have said something that sounded like Keith, maybe really loud.
Sure.
It could be. I mean, I was concentrating on Facebook at the time. At that point in time, I was doing a lot of advertising my paranormal post on Facebook and answering comments and likes that people would comment on my Facebook post. So I wasn't really paying attention. So I always try to rule out what it could be, because it could have been someone. Someone could have said,
right.
I don't know, there's people with the name Heath, starts with an H, like a last name Heath. And someone might have just said, hey, Heath. And I thought they said Keith. So that's a possibility. And if someone yells outside and they yell loud enough, it might just sound like a normal voice from where you're at.
The late night lurkers said, hey guys, miss me.
True.
Of course we do, buddy. Of course we do. The first time I heard a disembodied voice was my first investigation. The J&R house is when we first started our team back in 2014. And when we were investigating, we only had 3 flip phones at the time. And I was going under my nickname, which my family gave me, as Bubba. And I heard clear as daylight. I was in the bathroom and I heard a female say, hey, Bubba, come find me. Problem with that is there was no female at the investigation. It was me, John, Rick, and David. So I come out of the bathroom and I'm like, all right, which one of you guys are screwing with me here? Who's talking in the girly voice to freak me out? Well, they all swore up and down that they didn't say a thing.
Right.
What about you, Lisa? Have you heard, what was your first disembodied voice?
I don't know. I was dealing with spirits from at a young age, at 8 years old, I would hear things. And at that time, when you're young, you just don't know what it is. You're scared, kind of. I'd hide underneath the blankets, not go to the bathroom or anything, try to get through the night, because when you hear, and my name, like Keith was talking earlier, I have a really common name, Lisa. I go to stores even currently and I'll hear like my name and I'll look around just to keep this thinking is like, was there someone in the area? Did I just hear that? And I'll turn around. Sometimes there's nobody there or there's another person, sometimes it's trying to distinguish, were they talking about something? It's really weird because it happens quite a bit. But I was more scared when I was younger. I didn't know.
So, Mr. Evan, what was your first official paranormal investigation?
I would say when I was 4, going into my great aunt's house and checking out the wainscoting. That would have been it. It was like I was probably, from what I understand, I guess it would be my great grandfather built that house sometime in 1870 or 1880. So he and his family had been the only ones that had lived there. Now, I don't know if there was a house on the property before, but anyway, in modern times, apparently, my family was the only people that had lived there. And of course, the only ones that had passed away was my great grandmother. So it would have been my great great grandfather then. And my great great grandmother had passed away. And then my grandfather's mother had lived there and she had also passed away. I think she passed away in like 1921 or 22.
Did they all pass away in the home? Did they all pass away in the home?
I don't know for sure. From what I understand, my great grandmother did. My grandfather's mother. Back then, I don't think people went to the hospital. So probably my great great grandfather and great great grandmother did pass away at home. Just from what people have told me that, they didn't spend that much time at a hospital unless they could save their lives, so a lot of people as they got older would just pass away at home. But I don't know for sure. I never really asked anyone to clarify it. And of course, the older people that would have known have all passed away. So, but one other thing I wanted to cover about disembodied voices. The other things I've heard concerning disembodied voices would be with the Obelisk 5. Sometimes I will hear voices coming from the Obelisk 5, but there's nothing on the display and nothing in the memory.
Oh, wow.
Because the Obelisk 5B is different from the Obelisk 4. The Obelisk 4, I don't think it had any memory that I could get into to see. But the Obelisk 5B has a memory of everything that was said, just in case you miss words. So I remember 2 years ago, it was during the summertime, I was in St. Augustine doing paranormal research, and I was testing to see how many ghost spirits would be just out on the main street. And I was like in the main street of the downtown walking, and it was hot, and I was getting tired, and I was going to go back to the motel and lay down because I was getting tired and I felt bad. And there was a young lady walking towards me and her husband or boyfriend. And you could tell they were a couple, and she was wearing this short white lacy dress. And, and I thought, well, I'm not going to look. I'm just going to go back, continue walking and make it back to the motel. And I had the obelisk on and the obelisk in my left hand. And the obelisk said, check her out. But there was no her. There was just say on the obelisk, later when I looked at it, it just said check out. But I heard check her out. And it sounded like a tall person had walked up behind me, maybe, this tall, and
Mhm.
the sounded like it was coming from up here, not where my hand was, holding
Okay.
the
Wow.
Obelisk 5. So I turned around to see what man was behind me and how did they get up to me that quick. And of course, there was no man. And when I turned around, the young lady was upset. She was looking at me. She heard it. And the guy kind of had like his fist kind of crunched up like he'd like to clobber me. And I obelisk say it. Obelisk 5 said it. So I guess if they didn't know what Obelisk 5 was, maybe they thought I was a harmless kook or something. But they went on. But I guess the young lady was in her 20s, and probably her husband or boyfriend was about the same age. And she just said, I don't know, something like, watch it or something like that. And it was like, I didn't say it. The Obelisk 5 said it. So the Obelisk 5 can get you into trouble. So you have to be
Oh, wow.
careful if you're out on the street around people. Um, but anyway, I have heard, I guess this was within the last 6 months. I was doing
Okay.
paranormal research at a swimming pool, and I'm not sure whether I don't think I turned the Obelisk 5 on yet, but I heard it sounded like someone speaking in like a very robotic voice coming from the Obelisk 5. And I was holding the Obelisk 5 in my hand. And I already had the camera on, so you couldn't really see the face of the Obelisk 5, but the Obelisk 5 was off. And it still sounded like a ghost or
Oh,
spirit
wow.
was trying to use it to talk. And then another situation with the Obelisk 5, this was about a year ago. I was walking, I try to take 3 walks a day. It's good for my circulation. And I was out walking, and I
Mhm.
had the Obelisk 5 turned off in my pocket, and a ghost or spirit turned it on because the Obelisk 5 has this, what I call a little toggle switch, where you it's kind of like subsynced into the uh, surface, under the surface of the Obelisk 5B, and you have to use the tip of your finger to either click it this way or click it that way off. And it was off,
Okay.
and somehow the ghost of spirit turned it on. And as I was walking on the sidewalk, I was passing a man, and I just thought, when I heard the Obelisk 5, I thought it was that guy. He had a radio or a cell phone, or he was talking to someone. And some people have like
Mhm.
this wireless mouthpiece that they can use, so they don't have to hold a cell phone in their hand. It can be in their pocket. So I
Right.
turned around and looked, and he wasn't talking to me because he kept on
Mhm.
walking. And then I kept hearing it as I got some distance from him. And then
Mhm.
I knew it wasn't him or his cell phone. And then I checked my obelisk, and it was on, and I had not turned it on. So sometimes when the ghosts of spirits want to talk to
Oh,
me, they'll
wow.
just turn the obelisk 5 on.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
You can't accidentally turn it on, but it's happened a couple times. Uh, the last time
I
I remember it was about a year ago.
Matt or paranormal consultant says, I've had that
Okay.
happen to
Yeah,
me as
I really
well.
want to get my hands on an
Spirits
Ovilus.
have done so much. LOL kills me on batteries. MJC Paranormal says, Keith Evans, you are an amazing and awesome brother. That's crazy. Yeah, I'd actually like to give a shout out to MJC Paranormal, the late night lurker, and the paranormal consultant. We've
what,
kind of developed a family, if you will.
what does
And
MCJ stand for?
it stands for Mason. I can never remember his middle or last name,
Just his
but
Callahan is
initials.
his
I
last
got you.
name. Yeah,
but
Mason Callahan.
we
I'll tell
started
him thanks.
this paranormal family because we all believe in para-unity. We believe that it couldn't just be, a bunch of teams running amok and being territorial, that we should all come together and be as one and be each other's support system, have each other's backs, do what needs to be done as a paranormal unit instead of trying to outdo everybody. And because when I started my team 8 years ago, we knocked probably 3/4 of the paranormal team out of competition because they were charging people $100 to $300 per investigation.
Wow.
And we come with pretty much 2 recorders, a camera, and an EMF detector on a tablet. And we're doing all these investigations for free.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So everybody turns to us. And that's what got us so big and hot the first 3 years we were together. So my next question, sir, is there's a lot of gadgets out there in the world. A lot of gadgets I'd like to get my hands on. And then there's some that are just crap from the minute you see them. What paranormal tools do you yourself use for an investigation?
I mainly use the meter to detect electromagnetic energy and temperature changes. And I use the Obelisk 5B. Theoretically, the ghosts of spirits can use their energy to choose words from the Obelisk 5B's database. And I use the Flare TG165 thermal imager to detect any type of abnormal heat increase or heat decrease. So
that is phenomenal. Our team, we're kind of bare minimum equipment at this moment. We've had a K2 meter, we've had the Obelisk 3. We had the SLS cam for a while. The SLS cam took a 2-story fall. Obelisk 3, one of my investigators left at a cemetery, which is now why
I'm getting jealous with all Oculus.
Wow.
But we use a couple EVP recorders, a couple K2 meters, an SB7 spirit box, and we had a night vision camcorder. And like everybody says, we don't charge for what we do. We're just helping our community, our people out to help explain the paranormal or to try to help them cross over. But there also comes a point in time where everybody needs, a little bit of extra to get going. That's why I always say donations are definitely accepted, but are not required. And we had a fan of ours, come to find out his wife was best friends with the lady that we did an investigation 4 years ago, actually donated us a laptop.
That's good.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And what do you guys use for equipment, Miss Lisa? You just use your head shakes?
I have a ton of equipment. I think it just really depends on the location you go to and what you're really going to need. Let me see. My internet's kind of goofy tonight. Generally, bring K2 spirit boxes. We have Boo Buddy bears.
And she froze. All right, Keith Evans. I would like to formally introduce you to the man, the myth, and the legend, the paranormal consultant.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Am I back now, you guys? Am I unfrozen?
Yeah,
what?
You're good.
I said if you need
this
me,
internet
brother.
is like crazy here today.
So, Mr. Evans, how long have you been
switched my
doing paranormal investigations?
Well, I would say about 4 years old is when I started. And I pretty much, didn't advertise because as a child and a young adult, the area that I lived in, people were very negative towards anyone who, had any type of belief in the paranormal. And they seemed to be very negative, thinking that if you believed that there were ghosts and spirits or tried to communicate with them, somehow you were devil worshiping. And of course, I was never doing anything like that. So I had to be very careful and just keep it to myself. And as a child and a young adult, I only really knew of 3 other people that did paranormal research. And one was Hans Holzer, and the other 2 was the husband and wife team, the Warrens. And they were like, in magazines and, on TV, and even did some things with the news. And I just felt that they were out of my league, so I never tried to contact or communicate with them. But I knew it was in my best interest not to say anything to my parents or anyone else, because they would just have a very negative attitude about it.
So, if you don't mind, where did you grow up at?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay.
Whereabouts, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
Sykesville.
Okay. All right. I have family in Hagerstown.
Okay, that's out west.
Yeah. Yeah, you're more towards the east, but yeah, I know where you're talking.
Closer to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So you say that you're an author as well. I'm very fascinated to know what kind of book have you wrote, and what blah, 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 blah. I'll get this eventually. What is it about?
I've written one book, The Hayes House, Ghost or People 2, and it's mainly about the Hayes House. The first chapter is mainly about the history of the Buck family, who built the Hayes House in 1908, and they lived there until Jeff Buck passed away in 1921. And the bank took it back and used it as a boarding home until the Hayes family bought it in 1942, at the beginning of World War II. And the Hayes family lived there until 1996. And that was when Kathleen Hayes went into assistant care facility, and the house was sold. So,
wow. So, is there a lot of activity in the Hayes house?
Yes, and it's around about 6 or 7 ghosts. I would say at least 2 or 3 from the Buck family, and then 3 or 4 from the Hayes family. But I would say the main one was Kathleen Hayes, and because she had lived there from 1942 until 1996. Then there were other ghosts of spirits like Pat, her husband, but he passed away in 1978. And there was Sunshine Gibson, which was Pat's aunt, and she passed away at the house in 1956. And there was also Annie, which was Pat's mother and Sunshine's sister, and she passed away in I think 1960 or 1962. So, and I wanted to write a book about the Hayes house because there were so many of regular ghosts or spirits that I felt were there to look after the house and make sure that it was preserved for future generations. And I just thought that was really kind and neat that they were looking out for the house. Because I go to some places where there are no regular ghosts or spirits that are looking out for the house. You just get the ones that kind of wander in and are there for the weekend, or maybe there because they know a paranormal investigator's talking to ghosts or spirits and they want to check you out.
Well, MJC Paranormal says, Keith, much love to you for never giving up on the paranormal. We need more people like you in this world.
Thanks.
And I couldn't agree with him more.
100%.
The paranormal world is a definite tough world. You get called every name in the book. At least I have about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I've been called a loony. I've been told to get off the crack. I've been called a thief. I had one guy actually that got onto my Facebook, stole a picture of me when I was in my heavy metal band, and I had a mask that just came down to my nose and says, Spokane Ghost Crew, more like Rob You Blind Crew. You're going to let this person into your house, and then shared my picture.
Wow.
Like, okay, that has nothing to do with the paranormal. This was, this has to do with my metal band that I had, completely irrelevant from what I do now.
Man, it's like character assassination.
It really is. They do everything and anything possible to keep you down.
And I think that's the reason why Facebook blocked me from my Facebook page, because that was the main place where I would show my paranormal and have been showing my paranormal, I guess, since about 2016 or 2018. And, Facebook just decided one day to block me. And they won't tell me why. If anything, they wanted to know if I felt that my account had been hijacked or, that someone else was using it. And I said, I don't know. I don't think so. They never shared why they felt that. And then they said, well, it's just a temporary block, but I can't post anything from my Facebook page. It was supposed to be at PetCat 2006, and I named it in honor of all the pet cats I've had in the past. And now it's still there. I can get to it. I can look at it. I can see what other paranormal people put on, that site, but I can't post anything. So
I think Night Lurker says, a tough world where people question you and doubt your work. And that's exactly true. I've had people come on here and try to spam me by saying spirits aren't real and we're all a bunch of jack-offs.
Well,
I've had the same thing.
That's one reason why, Keith, we started this paranormal community, this para-unity. I guess you can call it a campaign, because that's what we're after, to unite everybody. And I always say on my page and on my show, if you have something negative to say it, but then it's going to be deleted. Number one, and number
Right.
two, as well as the rest of us, there's power in numbers. So all of us are going to get together and change the outlook. We're not just out to change the outlook of the paranormal community within ourselves, within these teams, but the general populace as well. To let people know, hey, this stuff is real, and we are here to help. There's always something. There's always something that needs done. Somebody always needs help, and they need to know where to turn to, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
And Facebook just banned me for 30 days. I can still post and everything, but as everybody knows who knows me, that I go live on my Facebook group page for all of our investigations. And now I have to rearrange my schedule because I can't go live on my Facebook group page. I can't put my podcast on my community page anymore for 30 days. And I'm starting to agree with other people when they say that Facebook is starting to turn their backs on us paranormal investigators and figures and authors and everything that has to do with the paranormal. Facebook is turning their back on, and it's going to come back to bite them in the ass.
Well, I think people complained about me, because there's a lot of people, if they don't feel that ghosts and spirits are real, or they think that they're real, but if you're communicating with them, somehow you're devil worshiping or whatever, they want to complain. And, I think that's what happened, even though Facebook won't share that with me. I think somebody went out of their way to complain, just to I guess they were hoping they could slow me down or keep me from being popular.
You see, they're trying to do the same thing with us too, because I'm not even kidding. 5 months ago, I was sitting at 3.2 thousand fans from around the U.S. and the world, and I've built that up over a 4 to 5 year period.
Right.
All of a sudden, our team got knocked out by COVID for 2 years here in Washington, and I picked us back up with the momentum that we had before we shut down, and it just completely backfired. Like, I couldn't find investigations, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. So instead, I started joining millions of groups that I could find, and I'm probably a part of about 300 paranormal groups from around the world.
Wow.
And I started saying, hey, why don't we make a trade? You post your stuff on my Facebook, I post our stuff on your Facebook, and let's just share the shit out of each other and get more views. And since doing that, I have gathered over 1,000 new fans for our team page.
That's good.
And, I believe full-heartedly that we're getting stomped on and put out like we're a fire by Facebook.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm ready to tell every paranormal team that I'm a part of, screw Facebook, let's shut it down, and let's move to Instagram. Instagram does a lot of the same things that Facebook does, except for you can't have a group. And that's the only problem.
But aren't they actually owned by the same corporation? There somehow Facebook is connected to Instagram.
They are. I think they're a partner company.
Yeah, Facebook's been doing crazy stuff.
And MJC Paranormal put, Brian, you are right, because paranormal goes deeper than we could ever imagine, and that's why they are trying to hide the truth. MJC, I believe that. And the Late Night Lurker says we should keep that going until we all hit a global scale, united together. And
You know, it's funny. It's funny. Not mean to cut you off, Brian, but
you're good, brother.
because you guys hit on a couple things. One of them being people trying to put us down. Like Keith, you said about in your area about being devil worshippers, which is all that negativity and all that stuff. Well, here's the fun part, and this is my comeback, and I have shut people down, especially those types. I'll just put it nicely. First of all, I'm an ordained minister myself. I've been a Christian my entire life. I'm a born-again Christian. I am proud of that. And the paranormal has, first of all, led me deeper into my faith, and that's the reason why I'm ordained. The second point I make to people is in the Bible, it teaches about heaven and hell, angels and demons, all that good stuff. I have literally asked a pastor, I said, do you believe in demons and these minions of Satan to come on earth and to do his bidding? Everybody that I've spoken with said, well, yes, of course. I said, then you believe in demonology, which is a part of the paranormal field. It's a branch of it. And I said, do you believe in angels that protect us and help us and guide us? They're like, well, yeah. I was like, do you believe in angelic beings, which is another branch of the paranormal? Have a great day. And no comeback.
Right.
And as far as, this Facebook thing, my whole feelings on it is they can try. But let's be honest, we are a community. And if they're trying to put down a community, that's called discrimination. And we all know how well that works out.
Yeah.
I say let them try. And all the more reason why us in the paranormal field should unite. As there's power in numbers. That's why, we're fighting for this para-unity. I'm trying to get teams from all over the world and all over the U.S. involved with this and to build this community up, because if you get rid of one, you're getting rid of all of them.
Right.
Can you imagine the hit they will take if not just hundreds, but thousands of accounts gone?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Well, when Facebook first blocked me from using my Facebook page, they also at the same time stopped me from posting on. I had like 20 different groups that I was posting on, and they told me that I was abusing community standards because Facebook wide I had too many posts. I was like on a daily basis was putting out too many posts, and it was because I had 20 different Facebook groups that I belonged to, and I went ahead and I discontinued at least 10 of those groups, and maybe even more than that. And some of the groups some groups have multiple administrators, but over the last year, some of the groups had actually complained that I was posting too much, even though it was different stuff and it was unique stuff that I knew the fans would like. So some of those groups I didn't mind letting go because they might have been the ones that complained and kind of made what Facebook did more legitimate, at least to Facebook's aim, not to my belief. But so right now, I think I only have 11 groups. I most of the time, groups will seek me out. They'll see me on another page, and they'll send me wanting me to join the group. And a lot of times I'll just start posting, and I don't know. I guess if you're allowed to post, you join the group, but it's like they kind of like join me without me doing anything. So now I
Well,
have at least 11 groups that I'm posting on. And I don't know, but that was one of the things that Facebook used against me. They said that I was abusing community standards because I was posting too much. And then, of course, they blocked my Facebook account so that I can't post on that. And they started to try to say that they thought I had been hacked and they were doing it for security reasons. And then, of course, I didn't see where I had ever been hacked, but they still say you're temporarily blocked from posting on your Facebook page. So I've talked to other people in the paranormal world who've told me I'll never get that account back. I'll be able to see the pictures on it, but they say they don't think they'll ever allow me to, reuse that account or start it back up.
Here's something interesting. The late night lurker says that he has an idea. Everyone granted, we have our own groups, but why don't we make it one big group, but weed out the fakes, the fake paranormal groups or the negative people? Just a suggestions, thoughts, everyone.
That sounds familiar, huh, guys?
Yes, it does. Now, you see, Mr. Evans, Facebook is also out to get me because I believe in paranormal unity so much that teams that are on Instagram and YouTube and are trying to transition over to Facebook, I will build them a brand new Facebook group page. I will make them a community page. I will do every and anything in my powers to help a paranormal team get up and going.
Right.
And I've been banned from Messenger like tonight because I sent 20 different messages to 20 different people. I've been banned for going live for 30 days because that's how I get everything done as I film in our group page. They banned me from sharing in groups because I share, I tell people about the paranormal unity. I share other teams that I have helped out that needs come up in fans. I do a little bit of it all. I'm kind of a Facebook paranormal investigator guru, if you will.
Right.
Wasn't the term I was going to use. That works.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, shut up. You just keep drinking your amp, asshole.
Damn right.
But keep that in mind. For everybody that wants to get a hold of you or buy your book, where do we start to find you, sir?
Well, my book is available only online at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and Walmart. If you're in Australia or Ireland or Great Britain, try Amazon and eBay online. You can always go to your local bookstore and ask them if they can order it. They may be able to order it and have it shipped to your home, but I can't guarantee that. I was paying a fee for Barnes and Noble to be able to put my book on the shelf, but when the COVID-19 hit, all the bookstores sent my book back because part of my fee was a guarantee that if they didn't sell my book, they could get their money back. So when that hit, my royalties really went down because I'm in the hole on royalties. So then I got to sell a lot of books to get out of the hole. So anyway, I'm also on Facebook under my name, Keith Evans. I have a website on the Authors Guild that I've been so busy, I haven't updated it, but it's good information about how I go about doing my paranormal research. And that website is www.keith, O as in middle initial O, evans.com. And that's the domain name. And I'm also on Instagram. Right now, you can't get to my Facebook page at PetCat2006 because Facebook has it blocked. I guess that's about the best way to contact me at this point in time. My book is it's long. It's about 430 pages long, but don't let that scare you because each chapter is like a mini book. So if you buy my book, each chapter is about 30 or 40 pages long. So as I was starting to say before, the first chapter is about the history of the Hayes family and how, what they did at the house and how long they were at the house and what family members lived there. And then starting with the second chapter, it's one room and 2 or 3 paranormal investigations. And I start out writing about the history of how the family used the room, say like the dining room. I tell all about, they had Christmas dinner there and also Thanksgiving dinner and what was on the menu for dinner and Thanksgiving and what family members would attend. And then I go into the paranormal research. It's at least 2 one-hour-long sessions, and I do it like a transcript. So you get a blow by blow, what happens, what I said, what I heard, what I felt. I took a lot of notes, which was physically draining to write everything down. But if you don't write it down, you're not going to remember it. So you have to write everything down if you're going to do a book. And
you see, I agree with that 100% because I was actually on the cusp of writing my own book. I was calling it My Time on the Other Side, a paranormal investigator's tale. And what I did is I took 12 of my favorite investigations and I sat down and I watched the entire footage again. I went over all the EVP again. And like you said, timestamp by timestamp, I just continued on. And I was on my last chapter, and it was going to be on St. Ignatius Hospital in Colfax. I had it about halfway written, and my computer crashed.
Uh-oh.
There was no saving my book.
Wow. Well, that was sad. Sorry to hear that.
I got a question about your book, Brian.
What's that, buddy?
Was it a pop-up or a coloring book?
You know what it was, Matt? It was a book that you had to have extra special reading glasses for.
Oh, like this type of reading glasses, or?
The only thing that comes to mind is your mama jokes right now, and I'm not going to go there, so piss off.
Oh, go for it. No, in all seriousness, though, Keith, if you ever, feel free to look me up on Facebook, just Paranormal Consultant. I will say this live on the record. You are welcome to post anything and everything you'd like.
Okay, that sounds good.
If they've got a problem with it, and they can talk to me.
MJC Paranormal says, that's effed up, Brian. They're trying to stop the movement, brother. What they don't know is that you are protected and on other platforms, so they will never stop the movement. There's too many of us. The late night lurker wants to know, Keith, do you have an Instagram?
Yes. I don't know what the account name is.
Right there
I
with you.
don't. It's probably tied into Facebook somehow. So it's probably something like PetCat 2006, and that's what my Facebook page was. But anyway, so I guess you could just search Keith Evans and to find the Instagram account. But what I was telling you about my book, at the very end of each chapter, I do an analysis of all the data that I received, and I try to make sense of it and tie it into maybe information that I'd already received from prior chapters. So there's actually 21 chapters. So there's like 20 rooms and porches. I did the 2 first floor porches, front and back, and I also did the front second floor porch. So there's like 17 rooms and 3 porches for the 20 from the second through the 21st chapter. So anyway, some people feel that I went into too much detail, and someday I'll do another book. And if I do, I'm going to make the book a lot shorter, because I think people can afford a $10 book that's maybe 100, 150 pages more readily than they can afford a book that's 430 pages and costs $23, $24 plus tax.
Well, I'll definitely be checking and looking at the book. Definitely.
I, for one, am definitely interested in your book. I'm not much of a reader, but that sounds like something I could get into, along with my sister, my mom, my wife. I have a question from Anthony Pace, MB Para Consultant. Just wondering what ceremony, school, or college did you attend?
Well, I'm ordained. I didn't actually go to like a college to get my ordainment. What I did was I studied at the Universal Life Church. They have a wonderful program I studied with, and I got my ordainment through that. You have to have a home church, which I do, and you have to have a letter of good standing. And there's a couple of requirements you have to follow. So I didn't actually go get a degree or anything like that.
I know.
But I am ordained. So, and I have all my licensing also.
Joshua Babel says, what's your best piece of evidence and or favorite piece of evidence?
Is that for me?
I believe that's for all of us, but I will let you go first because you are our guest.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking best piece of evidence. I guess there's good paranormal data in just about every paranormal investigation that I do. I'm like a lone wolf. I go by myself. I try to go to places where I'm like the only game in town, where there's nobody around, because I think ghosts and spirits like the excitement. If there's a football game on, they're going to be there watching a football game along with the living, and then they're not going to pay any attention to the paranormal investigator. So I try to pick times where there's nothing else competing for the attention of the ghosts and spirits. And I think the fact that I go alone, most people are more apt to talk to someone if it's one-on-one. And a lot of people don't like to talk to a crowd. And I don't mind, but as you get older and you've had more opportunity to talk to crowds, you kind of get over, you don't mind, you get over that. But
I personally, I have a big fear in speaking in front of people. I used to do haunted tours years back, and I would run the tours because he'd be out sick or he'd be doing another tour.
right.
10 to 12 people, I'm sitting on the bus shaking like a leaf on a tree, and then I have to announce exactly where we are, what house we're at, what happened. And man, the first few times I did that, I was a scared little puppy dog. Like I was stuttering and stumbling all over myself.
Was it like a vehicle ride? You were riding in like a tram or something?
Yeah, it was on a kind of like a 10-seater, not school bus, but like medical shuttle bus.
I see. Wow, that was pretty cool.
Hill, there was the east side, there was Riverside and Greenwood Cemetery tours. And then we started running tours at this big mansion, and we would take a group of 10 people with us to go into the slave chambers and to go down into the boiler room and do investigations down there.
Was that near Spokane, Washington?
That was actually in Spokane.
Cool.
Guy that was running the tours, though, was kind of an alcoholic, and I got into personal with him instead of staying professional business partners.
Right.
I would go to his house. I would do work for him at his house. He became kind of like a father figure to me. But long and short of it, I was doing a downtown tour for him one night because he was out doing the Lewis and Clark thing. And he gets back and he's like, all right, where's my money? I said, I got 45 of it sitting right here for you when you're ready to go. He goes, oh, no. There was 3 to 4 books sold from what I heard. And there better be more than that sitting there. I was like, dude, I didn't sell any of your books that night because I didn't have the books with me. He proceeded to call me a liar and a thief.
Oh.
And I knew he was drunk. I knew he didn't mean it. But after them words were said, you cannot work with that person anymore.
Right.
So I unfortunately had to cut ties with him. But the problem with that is he was a sponsor of our team. He gave us the Ovilus. He gave us laser grid. He gave us K2s. He bought us a camera. And on top of that, when we show up on the tours, we're actually getting paid 30 to 40 bucks per tour.
That's good.
That just really screwed my team to begin with. And then we roller coastered downhill. Everybody started seeing things differently and wanting to do things differently. And that ended our first out of 3 hiatuses. The second one, I got tired of doing all the work and everybody taking all the credit for it. So I walked away for 6 months. And then the third time we got hit by COVID about a year after I started picking stuff up again.
Who has the chimes? I can hear chimes ringing.
Oh, that would be me. My mom is obsessed with wind chimes. So all around our patio on our apartment, there's wind chimes hanging.
I can hear them.
You get
there used to be
you get used to
probably
you get used
8 or 9 more of them, but they all got blown down and ruined due to the giant windstorms we had.
Wow.
So before we go, Mr. Evans, and I ask everybody this, what was your, oh my God, I just shit my pants moment in the paranormal field?
Well, I don't think I've really had one like that other than, well, I would say the situation with the young lady, and the Obelisk 5 said, check her out, and her boyfriend and her were looking at me when I turned around to see who said, check her out. That was one. And I would say another one was at Hayes' house. I was doing thermal imaging in the room that I found out later on was Pat and Kathleen's bedroom. It was on the first floor, the center room on the south side of the house. And I saw with my thermal imager, it looked like a cold pipe in the corner of the northeast corner of the room. And it went from floor to ceiling. And I turned around to check to see if the southwest corner would look the same. And when I did, the southwest corner was just normal ambient temperature color. Probably, I think it was springtime and it was probably like 70 degrees without the AC on. It was kind of early in the morning. And, but at the same time, in the southwest corner, I could see 2 to 3 intermitting, undulating, like silhouettes with the head and the shoulders and the upper body. And then there were colder areas. And I thought that's definitely not normal. And it's definitely something I had not seen before. And I think that the long, narrow, dark blue area, which was a cold area that I could see with a thermal imager, was Pat Hayes, because he was rather tall and skinny. Until he was rather old, he was about 6'3" and had a 28-inch waist. So I think that was his way of appearing to me through the thermal imager. And then I think the other 2 to 3 people that I saw was a combination of Kathleen, Sunshine, and Annie. And at the time that happened, I really wasn't sure whether they were wanting me to leave or wanting me to continue on. So anyway, I had actually forgot all about that situation when it happened, and I didn't remember it until I was actually writing the book. And when I wrote the book, I was relying heavily on the notes that I had written down. I had written down in a spiral tablet notes of every chapter, almost like a transcript. I was doing like a shorthand, and then I would go back later for about an hour and write everything in, put in all the details before I could forget. But I think the reason why I had forgotten, because I was starting to have self-doubt on whether it was a good project to do. Maybe the ghosts of spirits weren't into it. And I thought, well, if I'm writing a book about a house where I think the ghosts of spirits are guardian angels and protecting the house, and if they don't want me to do it, then why am I here, And I think somehow they helped me to forget because they wanted me to stay. But it was something. I didn't remember the whole thing until I was writing the book, which was probably 6 months later. And that's not something that you would forget, but I did up until the morning that I started to work on the what I call the Pat and Kathleen chapter, I had forgotten it, until that morning. So that was strange.
Paranormal says he loves details. That's what makes a good read. And Keith, that sounds creepy.
Well, it's strange enough that it's interesting. You don't want things to be all plain and all spelled out, because sometimes you might have to do paranormal research at a place for a month before you figure out what the ghost of spirit's trying to tell you. It's almost like a mystery, like in a way, like a murder you wrote type mystery, but it's not a murder. It's trying to figure out what the ghost of spirit wants you to know or what they're trying to tell you. And I like that. I find it to be intriguing, and it keeps my interest up. It's like if you're reading a book and you pretty much know everything you need to know, why continue to read? And you're investigating, or I like to call it a paranormal session, because I think sometimes ghosts get upset. They think, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you investigating me? So I try to make it sound not like I'm investigating a crime scene, but I call it a paranormal session, so that they realize that I'm just there to talk to them. And I think that helps the ghosts and spirits to relax and feel more comfortable talking to me. So
that is fantastic. And I got to say, you have been one of the most fascinating guests we've had on here.
Thank you.
We're hitting 1 hour and 30 minutes. I know that was your time limit. So, I hate to break up the party, sir, but I definitely want you back as a guest again.
That sounds good.
And I definitely can dive more into your paranormal life if you're interested in it.
Well, if I'm lucky enough to get a TV show, I mean, I would almost have to utilize people like all three of you to have a place to go to, that way the producer will say, hey, do you know a place to go, Victorian home? And I can say, well, yeah, I think Brian James or the MB para consultant or Lisa Marie would know a place. And then, if you already know people who know of someone who would give you permission, and with me, I work alone and I feel comfortable doing that. And for me, the producers don't have to pay a whole lot of money. You just have one person, and I get enough paranormal activity with just one person that it would be interesting for a TV show, and they wouldn't have to spend weeks there. But I will say one thing, the longer any paranormal researcher stays at one area, the more comfortable the ghosts and spirits feel with you, and the more they're willing to communicate with you. You have to build that relationship.
I agree 110%.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind having a TV show where I go back to the same places each year to build upon the relationship and to add to what I've already learned. And I think for a TV program that would be interesting, if you watched season 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you learn something new about the place in 5, I think that would be interesting. And it would show my theory that the more time a paranormal person spends at a location, the more information they get from the ghosts and spirits, because ghosts and spirits can only tell you so much information within an hour-long paranormal session. And once the ghosts and spirits' energy is low, they can't communicate anymore.
Well, Keith, I can actually help you out with that a little bit, I think.
I don't have a TV show yet, but I'm hoping. I mean,
there's places up here in Spokane. They're called community-minded television, and it's like an educational channel that people pay $30 a month for, and you can film up to, I think it was an hour and a half, and then you can use their big fancy $55,000 camera. You can use all the editing software, but something for you to look up would be some sort of community-minded television where you're at, and or just look for, you know, anything on like learning channels that are local to you.
Right.
See if you can't work a deal with one of them, and I guarantee you one of them
is very conservative, and as soon as they hear paranormal researcher, they kind of pretty much scream and run the other way. But who knows? Maybe someday. I'm sure that if I had a TV program, people would like it, and I'm sure it would be interesting, and it would. That would be my way of breaking a lot of the myths about paranormal being evil and every ghost is a demon, and some of the strange and worrisome ways people think, especially in Florida, about the paranormal. Because I've done paranormal research since I was 4, and I've run across angry ghosts, but I've never run across anything that was demonic. I know that there are good and evil people who are living, and I'm sure there's good and evil people who are dead, but I've just been lucky enough not to run into anything that was evil. I've run into angry ghosts, and a lot of times I'll bend over backwards to listen to them and hear them out, and usually they'll get over their anger. But if you think the way most people treat ghosts of spirits like they're something to run from, I mean, how would I feel if I was walking down the street and everyone ran from me? You know, if I knocked and people were saying, "Oh my God, it's demonic, run." I mean, that's kind of, it's like hurting a ghost or spirit's feelings. And I feel that a lot of these ghosts or spirits, they would help you out and they would look after you if you just give them a chance.
Oh man,
You
I
know?
got Ghost Adventure. Ghost Adventure. Excuse me.
Hey, this isn't my show.
So Keith, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
So you've been doing this for, you know, since you were little. What kind of advice could you give teams or people, whether they're just starting out, where they've been doing this for years? What kind of advice could you let them know to like go communicate with the spirits and stuff?
Well, when I was younger, I just had to not tell my family at all because they would go ballistic that I must have some type of psychiatric condition. So I would just say nothing to them because they were just that far out from, you know, at least where my attitude was.
Oh, sure.
But I would say, you know, I think that ghosts and spirits respond better if you're by yourself. I really do. And I know most people have the group type concept, and that's good too. But I find that if you're in the house by yourself, say, I like to do Victorian homes, but any home will do because someone lived there at some time in the past, and you're probably going to have a ghost or spirit there. And I would say go to some place that's quiet, and it doesn't have to even be a home because you'd have to get permission if it's somebody's home. I get good paranormal at the beach. Any beach where people have been going, even a swimming pool where people have been going for years, any place that's packed with emotional energy of people having fun, you're going to have residual energy at least, and you might have a intelligent ghost that's coming back and visiting the places that they enjoyed life. I think most people would rather be on vacation than working. And I think ghosts of spirits are the same way. They're going to go to the places that they loved, whether it be the house where they lived or the beach where they went on vacation. And if you're there and you have paranormal equipment, you're probably going to get a response. Or if you have a millimeter, you're probably going to. I think ghosts of spirits can readily use millimeters or K2 or K12 or whatever they're called, because just the electromagnetic energy of the ghost or spirit's going to set it off. But I think there's a learning curve on ghosts of spirits learning how to use the obelisk.
Yeah.
And, if you go back 200 years ago, a lot of people didn't learn to read or write. So you might get ghosts of spirits. If they didn't learn to read or write, they may have not learned yet, and they might have problems using the obelisk 5B. Now, if you get someone who was well educated, who died 200 or 300 years ago, then they might know how to read or write. So, and a lot of the Native Americans, I don't think they had a written language. I might be wrong. So it might be harder for them to choose words from the obelisk 5B. But my advice would just be yourself. You don't have to wear a costume or dress up fancy. It's like the ghosts or spirits probably pretty much know you just from seeing you in the area. So if you come and you're yourself, you ask questions, you're respectful to the ghost, you'll probably get some type of response. But unless you have an obelisk 5B or some type of device, you're not going to get words. You might be able to hear disembodied words. And of course, that helps if you're by yourself and you're away from other people. That way you're not going to mistake anything.
Right.
But, and I know most of the equipment, like the thermal imagers, are very expensive. All your night vision equipment's expensive. So you're pretty much limited unless you're like an empath and can pick up on stuff. And I find like sometimes I can pick up on stuff by touching the railing and going up the stairs. I can just like feel certain emotions, because sometimes if it's a negative emotion, you want to just go up the steps faster. And other times, you might get an emotion which will be like mood changing when you touch the railing. Like, you might just be ho-hum and you might, kind of perk me up, made me feel happy. I don't know why. And just by touching the railing. But I never really noticed that much when I was young, but I noticed it as I, at least since I retired, but I have more time to think about things now. So, if you're the type of person that can sense stuff like that, you don't need equipment, and you might have to go off on that or utilize that to develop your paranormal research. So,
And
Okay.
JC Paranormal
And one thing I really like that you said, Keith, is about the sessions that maybe if you go in that they felt like they were investigating. I really like that you use the word session versus investigating.
yes.
I really liked your analogy on that.
And I think that allows the ghosts and spirits to feel more comfortable with you. You're not going into it as them being an adversary. You're going into it as you're just as equal as I am, or that you're friendly towards them. And I think that makes the ghost spirit feel more comfortable.
Well, MJC Paranormal says that's true, Keith. The spirits will help you and protect you, as you do get very good results along. Very few people are willing to go in a place anymore. I find that true. I have a team of 14 right now. I have my immediate investigators, which are me, Rick, John, Kimberly, And then I got my weekend warriors who only investigate on the weekends.
Right.
And then I have my part-timers, you know, who can go to some investigations, but not them all.
Right.
We usually don't rock a crew smaller than 3 people, but I definitely want to see what happens if, you know, one of us goes in for an hour at a time, or even 2 of us, and see if we can pull out some better results.
Well, what you could do, if it's a big enough place, you can just be quiet so that you don't want another person to think it's a ghost and it's actually you, but just go in different areas. And I find when I do my paranormal sessions, I try to sit down just like I would be talking to a living person. And I think that helps. And sometimes with the Obelisk 5, it helps not to hold it, just to set the Obelisk 5 down. Because it's like you wouldn't want to use a cell phone while someone else is holding it, you know. So if you set it down, set the Obelisk 5 down, it allows the ghost of spirit to have it to themselves. So they're not using something that you're holding in your hand. But if I am moving around, then of course I'll hold it in my hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I hate to cut all this short, guys, but I got to get going. I'm sitting outside my house.
You have to stay on for another 5 minutes. Well, Mr. Keith Evans, you've been a fantastic guest, and I definitely hope to bring you on in the future, sir.
Yeah, it sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Not
Yeah,
a problem.
thanks.
You have a great night, and we will chat soon.
And nice to
Oh, cut off your guest. Your special guest. Cut him off.
That didn't mean to, damn it. So the reason
Man, I really liked him. He very knowledgeable and can give a little bit of good advice and stuff, and it's great. I really like what he said. Session.
Yeah, that
It's
definitely
like
stuck with me.
Made sense.
So I have 2 things I want to share before we end the podcast. Number 1 is this one goes out to one of my dearest friends. She's currently fighting for her life right now. She has 7 amazing children, just got married, and she's an avid fan of our podcast. Her name is Candace Workman. So if everybody could go to her page, you know, just jot down something, get well soon. Because, sweetheart, you know you've got our blessing on here.
Brian, post a little bit on consultant too. Make sure.
Do what?
Feel free to post
Say that
something
again?
on my page, so that way more people can see it. I'm gonna blast this.
All right.
Let's get
And
there.
the second bombshell I have is the SGC is coming over to take YouTube over. We are not only doing podcasts on this channel anymore. From now on, live investigations. Yes, there still will be some on Facebook, but I'm going to use StreamYard. I'm going to have different guests with us, and we're going to start posting our investigations live on YouTube starting December 3rd.
Lisa, why do I feel like that just means there's going to be a lot more work for you and me?
Oh, it means there's going to be a shit ton more work for you and me, boss.
Great. So no sleep. No more sleep.
I'm starting to get buried. I'm starting to get buried a little bit. I'm gonna have to like do a whole planner on teams and groups and stuff that I like send stuff out because I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
Let's start a GoFundMe page for Lisa so she can have an assistant.
Right? It's getting there. It's getting there.
And
Right?
you guys, I really appreciate you hopping on with me tonight.
You're welcome.
I know I've been absent for about a week now. I've been dealing with 2 sick kids and problems that other people don't need to know about. But I do promise you this, things are getting better every day. And the SGC is going to be up and investigating here real soon.
One thing I want to tell everyone out here who's listening tonight, if you're struggling and going through stuff, one thing you don't want to do is hide. Reach out to someone. Whether it's a phone call, anything, just reach out, a text. Hey, I can't talk right now. I'm going through some stuff. Don't try to do it by yourself. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your support network that you have to help you through it. Don't think you have to go through it yourself.
Exactly. And
I'm always here to
Mr.
chat.
Matt,
I mean, I joined your guys' live show tonight at work, which that was fun. You every time, hey, I'm here if you need me. 2 seconds later, StreamYard. If need. No, I don't care. I'm here to support you guys. You guys are awesome. I'll support you guys whenever. I'll sacrifice sleep, food, which is inside. I'm missing my chili, Brian. For you. It feels special.
I love chili. Is it homemade chili?
get inside, boss man.
Yeah.
Get inside.
And get this. My in-laws put a cornbread covering over top of it. So it's like a chili bake.
I was going to say, that sounds really good. I love chili. This is the time of year I start making my own homemade chili.
Yeah.
I'm kicking you off screen.
I'm putting that chili off you. Are you
great?
I'm doing this for you.
You're not waiting anymore. Go get your chili, buddy. I love you. Yeah, I got the last word that time, fucker.
You just wait. He's going to call you next. Watch. Your phone's going to go off.
Oh, no. He's going to pop up on here and say something smart ass. I guarantee it.
I'm watching.
Well, Lisa, it's been a good show tonight. The bombshell has been dropped that from now on, we will be doing YouTube investigations along with the podcasts on the YouTube. Do you have any bombshells or anything you want to drop for the Minnesota Spirit Hunters while we're here?
Not really. I got something I'm doing. And if anyone who is just in our group, it's for our group stuff. Trying to have people guess where I'm going. Looking for everybody can win a t-shirt. Like there's going to be a t-shirt given out to whoever can guess to what Lisa is up to and our junior investigator. I will go live on November 19th and announce who the winner would be, exactly where we are.
I know what it is.
All right.
Check it out.
So what's up, brother?
No, we're just getting ready for the Boyd House. You know, basically that's what we're doing, but yeah, not a lot, too much.
Right on. What's up, Mr. Matt?
I'll deal with that one. I'll deal with that one later. No, seriously, Brian, I need to talk with you tomorrow. And also,
I got Matt's
I don't know if you saw, Brian, but I created a video. Stop it. Created an event for tomorrow's video. Definitely don't want to miss it. I got MJC coming on, and you want to talk about a bombshell?
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me die.
What time is your podcast?
7 p.m. Eastern time. Can't wait.
So 4 p.m. my time tomorrow.
And what this one doesn't know is might have something special for your podcast tomorrow.
What?
I'm not gonna say anything else.
I'm going on yours. I'm going on yours tomorrow. What?
Yo, MJC's tomorrow. You guys aren't until.
I know. I'm going to be in the comments.
Maybe. But I got a lot of goodies coming. There's a lot of surprises. And also, Brian and everybody, you guys can come to me. I'm here too, obviously. And it's good to see you in all seriousness back on live, brother. Really is.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be back.
Although it would be a lot better with cardboard. Although it would be a lot better with Cardboard Rick.
Son of a bitch got the last word. And I can't bring him back on because he ditched out on me. Asshole. Gosh damn it, I hate it when he gets the last word. It's so freaking unfair. This is my show, not his, and he gets the last word.
It's funny. Because that's what you're famous for. Somebody's got to turn the dial for you and just be like,
I know,
cut it.
I know. Well,
oh, Matt just posted it too. Got the last word, laughing my ass off.
You know what?
That's funny. What's that?
Matt is one of the most greatest people alive. I must concur. And September 26th of next year, for those of you who don't know, Matt Barron, the paranormal consultant, he has a fair that happens in his town of Pennsylvania that shuts down 3 towns around him. And he is inviting all of us up to Pennsylvania. I can't remember where he lives. If he's nice enough, he'll text it to me before I say this. And yeah, he's doing what they call a Para-Unity Day. So anybody that has anything to do with the paranormal, he's inviting up to spend the day, have some beers, eat some good food. He said crashing out on his couch and floor is a plus. So it's in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, next year, September 26th, Para-Unity Day. He has a couple surprises for us. Yes, of course, Matt, bring your towels. And to top it off, that next day, we will all, as one unit, investigate Gettysburg. So, you know.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Are you going, Brian?
I'm surely going to try like hell to get down there. And honestly, I don't care if my full team ain't down there and it's just me and another person. We're going. But
yeah, I'm going. I know some of our team are going, so it's going to be fun to meet everyone kind of in person. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a blast. But from Spokane, Washington, from Minnesota, you know, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on here, please. Show us your love. And yeah, you know, definitely hop over to the Spokane Ghost Crew group page, hop over to the community page, ask to join our group. Good shit's going on in there. And also don't forget to go to the Minnesota Spirit Hunters new group page. They're going to be showing some killer evidence over there. You can win a free t-shirt. You can get a free t-shirt, which is kick ass. Free t-shirt.
Get over there. Go guess.
And let me tell you guys something. The Minnesota Spirit Hunters are definitely my ghost brothers and my ghost sisters. You know, I would do anything for this team as they would for us. And that also goes for the late night lurker, for MJC Paranormal, and for the paranormal consultant as well. And any other team that we've helped out that I am missing, because there's been quite a few that I've helped out that I can't remember. Anthony Pace, hope you're doing better and hope to see you soon. Yes, sir, Anthony, I'm doing a lot better. Things got kind of hectic, but you know, we're back to the old again. I may not be on as much anymore because I have to balance out my business, which is you guys, and my home life, which is my wife and kids. And I haven't been doing that lately, and it almost cost me my wife and kids.
So, Brian, it's called work-life balance and self-care. We all have. I'm bad at doing that because I'm more like a work, right? But we really do need to take time and take a step back to do that work-life balance, but also take self-care for yourself. And it's okay to be like gone for a little bit. Just let somebody know, hey, you know what? I'm taking self-care. I ain't going on over here for a little bit. And that's okay to do. Everybody should learn how to do that. I'm terrible at it myself.
So from Spokane, Washington, from whatever town you're from in Minnesota, I just want to say good night. Thank you for your support. I'm giving you the horns right now. I'm sure you can't see because it's so dark. But thank you for all your support. We love each and every one of you.
We love the deer.
Have a great night and enjoy my new closing video. Lisa Marie from the